Hello, here we are doing on your own practice for vertical angle relationships. That is lesson 3.03. So to get started, we are going to prove that the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. So the first thing we see here is the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180. Angle 1 and angle 2 lie on a straight line, share a ray. They are a linear pair. So we know that they add up to 180 degrees because it's a linear pair postulate. Now, angle 2 and angle 3 also lie on a straight line and share a ray. They are also a linear pair. Therefore, their measures also equal. The sum of their measures is also 180 degrees because of the linear pair postulate. Now, we can take these two equations and combine them because here, since this equals 180, and we know the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 also equals 180, we can replace it using substitution to give us this new equation. So where's our substitution property? There we go. And then we subtract the measure of angle 2 from both sides of this equation, which leaves us with the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2. The reason we could subtract the same thing from both sides is the subtraction property of equality. Oops. Let's check our answer. Looks good. Remember, you have these reference guides. Don't forget about those. All right. We are going to take a snip of this one, so we can draw on it. So here is all snip. All right, so let's write in what we know. Suppose the measure of angle 1, hang on, let's change our color, there we go. All right, the measure of angle 1 is 112, 12 degrees. Can we find the rest of these measures? Well, we know that 1 and 3 are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So that means that their measures are that angle 3 is also 112 degrees. Now, the measure angle 2 and angle 3 are a linear pair. Therefore, their sum, so the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, which is 112, equals 180. The linear pair postulate tells us that. We can subtract 112 from both sides. And that gives us that the measure of angle 2 is equal to 68 degrees. So 68 degrees, and let's write over here. And now, angles 2 and 4 are vertical angles, so that means that angle 4 is also 68 degrees. And now let's put our answers in. So 68, make sure we did all our math right, 112. Check it out. And we did. There's your explanation. All right, snip again so we can draw. I'd love it if y'all send me your snips with your drawings on them. Always happy to see that. All right, the measure of angle 1 is equal to 2y minus 7. The measure of angle 3 is y plus 17. How can we find the measure of angle 1? These are vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent, so we can set these equations equal to each other. So 2y minus 7 equals y plus 17. Let's subtract y from both sides. And we get y minus 7 equals 17. Add 7 to both sides. And we get y equals 24. But it's not asking for y, it's asking for the measure of angle 1, which equals 2y minus 7. Now we can plug in what we know for y. 2 times 24 minus 7. So the measure of angle 1 equals 2 times 24 is 48 minus 7. So the measure of angle 1 equals 41. So let's see if we're right. And there we go, all worked out. All right, snip again, or we can do some algebra. Oh, I need to make it bigger. Hang on, let's make it bigger. We have more room to write on. There we go, like that. All right, measure angle 1 and 2 are vertical angles. They're congruent, they have equal measure. So we know that the measure of angle 1 is 54 degrees. It tells us that. Equals. And we know the measure of angle 2 is 2x plus 4. We also know they're equal to each other, so we could automatically just set this equal to 54 degrees. So we subtract 4 from both sides. That gives us 50 equals 2x. Divide by 2 on both sides. And x equals 25. And they're asking just for the value of x. So that's what we'll give them. All right, snip again. Alrighty, let's write in what we know. The measure of angle 1 equals 2x plus 28. The measure of angle 3 is 6x plus 4. Find the measure of angle 2. Okay, let's be careful here. So first, we set these equal to each other. To solve for x, we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. We get 28 equals 4x plus 4. Subtract 4 on both sides. 24 equals 4x, divide by 4. And I believe that is 8. No. 6. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Yes. Ooh, where'd I go? I'm losing my spot. 6 equals x. So now we know x, but we need to know the measure of angle 2. This is what we're looking for. But we know that it's a linear pair with 3, so if we know the measure of angle 3, we can figure out the measure of angle 2. So the measure of angle 3 equals 6x plus 4. Let's plug in the x that we know. 6 times 3 plus 4. The measure of angle 3 equals 3 times 6 is 24. No, 18, sorry. 18 plus 4. So the measure of angle 3 is equal to 22. All right. So now we know the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180 because they're a linear pair. So we know that measure of angle 3 equals 22 degrees. So we can subtract 22 from both sides. And we get the measure of angle 2 equals 158 degrees. So let's see if we're right. Uh-oh. Let's check our work. So it says plug in for angle 1. Measure of angle 1 equals 2x plus 28, right? Measure of angle 1 equals 2 times 6 plus 28. Measure of angle 1 equals 12 plus 28. 12 plus 28 equals 50. Okay. So we're going to replace all of this. So the measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle, that's true. So it's saying that's 50. Subtract 50 from both sides. And we get the measure of angle 2 is 130. Now let's see if that's right. I don't know what we did on the other one. Maybe we're missing something here. This could be wrong. 1 3 of our notes, so their measures off for x. That's what we just did. Alright, we're going to come back to this one, because I don't want to run us out of time. Alright, so we need... So the measure of angle 1 is 116 here. And the measure of angle 5 is 116. So that means that the measure of angle 3 has to be 116, and the measure of angle 7 has to be 116. Alright, angle 4 is a linear pair with angle 1. So 180 minus 116, that's not right. 180 minus 116, 64. And 6 is also a linear pair with 5 and 7, so it would be 64 also. Alright, snip, let's try this one. Alright, vertical angles, measure of angle 1 is 5p minus 7, the measure of angle 2 is 3p plus 9. So we set them equal, 3p plus 9 equals 5p minus 7. I just wrote them backwards, that is okay. Minus 3p from both sides. We get 9 equals 2p minus 7. Add 7 to both sides. We get 16 equals 2p divided by 2. P equals 8. We're looking for the measure of angle 1, and it equals 5p minus 7. Measure of angle 1 equals 5 times 8 minus 7. Measure angle 1 equals 5 times 8 is 40 minus 7. Measure angle 1 equals 33. Let me check my math. 5, 8. Yes. So let's see if we're right. There we go. Alright, here's another one. Let's try this one. This is like the one we did before. Let's see if we can get it this time. Alright. So 2 and 4 are vertical pairs. This is 7x minus 11 and 4x plus 4. Alright, and we set those equal to each other. 4x plus 4 equals 7x minus 11. Subtract 4x on both sides. We get 4